Hi guys, welcome to the House of Ginger. Today is a book club. We're going to talk about Geraldine Brooks' book, The Horse. Actually, I digress. There's no the in horse. Oopsie. So, long story short, Horse, as you will, was written by Geraldine Brooks. We conquered that part. All right. Now, according to this title, she is the winner of a Pulitzer Prize for a book called March. She likes her one-word book titles. Can you blame her? I don't think so. Keep it simple, I say. Well, the fact of the matter is this book is about an actual horse that lived called Lexington. Prior to that, he had a slightly French name. Bonjour. However, that was not his French name. I digress. I'm not going to try to pronounce it. All right. So, horse, based on an actual horse. So, about 90% of the story, so true about the horse. And about the rest of it, kind of, excuse me, added onto to emphasize the story, carry it forward, bring out the strength. So, main characters in this time period, aka the 20th century. First, what century are we in? Moving on. The current age, if you will, is a lady who works with bones. I had to think about that for a hot second. Sorry, brain fart. And then her male counterpart in this current time frame is a guy who comes across a piece of art. And this piece of art bridges them together into a collective past about this horse. Now, this horse is Lexington. He actually did exist, and he has quite the history. So he's a very famous racehorse. Towards the back of the actual book, I did Audible this, won't lie there. Love me some Audible with my work drive situation. She does admit, of course, that this work isn't of a work. This novel we'll actually read is a work of the imagination, but most of the details regarding Lexington's brilliant racing career and years as a stud sire are true. He covered 960 mares, resulting in 575 foals, a remarkable percentage in itself. Busy boy. And many of these foals went on to be outstanding champions, 4 of them winning the Belmont Stakes and 3 winning the Preakness. And the horse, Preakness himself, was a Lexington foal. So, she basically reconstructed his life. There is an actual skeleton, which is in the Smithsonian. It was neglected in the attic, as this is in the story. And she found out about it because it was getting loaned to the International Museum of the Horse in Kentucky in 2010. So, that's how she heard about it. She was invited to a supper, luncheon, food, and listened to the gentleman speak about it, and then on his way. There have been paintings, which is where the Scott character comes into play. He is the actual artist of the horse, so you will come across some names. And so in the back of the book, there's a little bit of the truth factors as to who's who in real story time versus the fictional characters. So Thomas J. Scott was a pharmacy graduate, became an itinerant thoroughbred painter, known for incorporating insight into the horse's personality in his portraits. He also worked as a regular correspondent for the newspapers Turf, Field, and Farm, actual paper, Turf, Field, and Farm, and the other paper, Kentucky Livestock Record. During the Civil War, he served as a hospital steward in Company E, 21st Infantry Regiment, Kentucky Volunteers. So in Washington in 1878, Scott visited Lexington's skeleton at the Smithsonian. He noted several anatomical inaccuracies and wrote to the guy in charge of that matter about it so that, maybe they could work on it. Scott married late in life, though they had 4 children. Scott and his wife lived together only intermittently. And he resumed his art career basically 3 months after the wedding. Super duper. Okay. There are other people noted in the book as far as the horse trainer, the main person, as far as the owner of the horse, Robert Alexander, and etc. But I digress. There's a lot to uncover in this book. So overall, I'm going to be honest, once in a blue moon, in books that come out post 2010, I find, let me see if when she published this book. When, oh, did we publish? 2022. Okay. So 2022 year of publishing. So as I was saying, post 2010, most books I have found in once in a blue moon, they throw out climate change and they throw out racial situations. And so, granted, in the history of the book, totally there. Totally racial situations, totally there. I appreciate how she addressed the topic. Coffee in my tooth, because, so I appreciate how she addressed the topic in the past, as she was truthful to how people spoke, dealt with, communicated, etc. But in the future, the current lying story with the gentleman who found the piece of art, well-educated person, etc., 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 who wound up with the main female character of the book. It's not really a spoiler. They're in the book. It's the way it is. They get together pretty much chapter 5. So not a hard miss. There's a lot of chapters. You won't miss that part. Not a spoiler terribly. I did not comfortably enjoy, bear with, I did not comfortably enjoy how she was quick to make a circumstance where he was trying to help a person in need into a situation that escalated stupidly and kind of made the police look terrible. Now, nobody's perfect. Nobody's guaranteeing how this could have played out otherwise. But from a logical standpoint, it sucked. It sucked. That part sucked. So the roller coaster you're on, the enjoyment of the racing, super fun, super enjoyable, love a good derby. So I highly recommend, if you've never watched the Kentucky Derby, the Preakness, or the Belmont Stakes, maybe not in that order, but definitely the Derby starts first. Totally aware of that. I highly recommend you watch a horse race. Totally fun, totally enjoyable. Gives you a slightly bigger appreciation for what happens to the horse behind the scenes, because this is a lot more of behind the scenes and basically what a horse has to put up with, but 90% of also what the people taking care of the horse has to put up with, which I think is underrated. So that part I highly appreciated, getting to know what happens behind the scenes when it comes to taking care of a horse, because watching a Western not too far back, I mean, that's all we had was horses. There was no cars. There was no putt-putt. There was no but down the road. No, you literally took your horse everywhere. Your horse was your transportation mode. So, horses, highly valued creatures, still valued by many today, but also what it took to be a racing horse. So, therefore, kind of how horses are 90% of what we see them today as is in that regard. I love that 90%, don't I? Apparently I do. Big number this week. So overall, good book in the scope of everything. Did not appreciate the downcast ending. That sucked. Yes, there is a bright side. There's always, like, we always need a little rainbow at the end, so she doesn't disappoint us there. Was a very tiny little rainbow. Like, hallelujah. We made it to the end. In the meantime, though, the roller coaster is totally worth the ride. Pun intended. So I recommend you hop on the horse. Oh, stop it now. Hop on the horse and listen to the book, Audible Wise. Totally good listen. Or possibly read it. I know, it's difficult these days when your eyes are in front of a computer so much, but very good read. Highly recommend it. Either way, saddle up. You're in for a good ride. Thanks so much for choosing thehouseofginger.com, where you will see future book club situations coming to you and awesome books that we are picking for this year, and then into the next year we'll get there. But, you know, if you want to learn how to make little fascinators, this is just a cute little headband that I made extra. We will get into that as well, so that way you will be derby ready when the time comes, if you care to watch a horse in action. Okay? Thanks again for choosing the House of Ginger. We look forward to talking with you soon. Stay safe. Oh, and also, I guess you're supposed to like, subscribe, and watch some other videos. Don't hesitate. And go visit thehouseofginger.com. Lots of things there. Good times.